Today I'm going to be discrediting the probably biggest Heisei Godzilla baller of all time, Godzilla Guy. Last time I made a video debunking his video, I meant no hate to him whatsoever. This time's a little different. Some of the stuff he says is, it's beyond stupid. Starting off the video, Godzilla scaling still sucks. Okay, buddy. He brings up a guidebook thing where they talk about Godzilla Jr. being weaker than the original Heisei Godzilla, and the original Heisei Godzilla being stronger than Showa Godzilla. That is retconned later in the Godzilla vs. Destroyer movie. Like, it's pretty official. Godzilla Jr. was around the same level as Godzilla when he fought Space Godzilla at this point, according to multiple official statements, meaning that Godzilla Jr. would be leagues above both the original Heisei Godzilla as well as Showa Godzilla by a pretty decent amount. He also brings up how height determines how much radiation they took in. That's not really canon anymore, as by that logic, Legendary Godzilla and Shin Godzilla would be on Final Wars and Heisei Godzilla's level, which Legendary Godzilla is arguably on Final Wars level, but Shin Godzilla is probably the weakest Godzilla we've ever seen, other than maybe the original Godzilla, who can honestly scale above Shin Godzilla in certain aspects. So brings up the Rodan argument on how Godzilla can move at 600 miles per hour and is acting like Heisei Godzilla is incapable of those speeds. Buddy, he's dodging crystals that move at near infinite speeds later in the series. I don't think 600 miles per hour is that unthinkable. It doesn't look like he's moving that fast. You have to remember, this is a guy in a suit. This isn't some modern movie. You can make things move at absurd speeds and still make it look like realistic. Like Godzilla's light beams, he's dodging them in the Showa era. Heisei Godzilla is stronger than Showa Godzilla by the end of the Heisei era by a massive margin. And strength and speed tend to be pretty similar in the Godzilla series. Brings up how people use, again, the Rodan argument and saying that Rodan flying for his life after being injured by Godzilla doesn't equal Rodan's max speed. Then comparing it to a human getting their legs messed up with a baseball bat. Well, there's two problems there. One, this is a giant kaiju, not a person. So, anatomy difference, big time there. And two, adrenaline rushes exist. I'm pretty sure Rodan has adrenaline, so if he's moving for his life, even if he's injured, the adrenaline's going to allow him to move at high speeds briefly and ignore the pain. That's how adrenaline works in every animal on the planet, including dinosaurs back in the day, which Rodan is heavily inspired by. Well, not dinosaurs, flying reptiles, but whatever. So it's kind of hard to say that the injury makes him that much slower when in reality both adrenaline rushes and obvious anatomy differences between the comparison he comes up with kind of debunk that. It brings up how people say Heisei has the most abilities, proceeds to name off 4 and thinks those are the only ones. Well, first of all, he names Atomic Breath, which there's like 12 variants of in the Heisei era. If you're going to consider Atomic Breath one ability, when some like the Infinite Heat Ray add way more to the attack than just Atomic Breath, that's kind of stupid. Energy absorption, yeah, that's an ability. So is energy projection from his body in the form of radiation. So that's another ability right there that he forgets to mention because he's using Wikizola. Okay, I'm sure that's the most logical way to research what you're looking for. And then Nuclear Pulse, which he has 2 variants of. I guess Burning Form doesn't count as an ability because transformations aren't abilities. What are you talking about? And then he also mentions Amphibianosis. It's Godzilla, he's going to have an amphibianosis, that's fairly obvious. Are we also going to forget that he can regenerate? Like, you're missing a lot of stuff here, buddy. Like, tons. He then cuts the video off saying, well, it's 4, yeah, it's not directed at anybody, by the way. Like, you're clearly saying this to the Heisei fans, thinking you're saying something groundbreaking when you're missing, like, all the scaling for Heisei Godzilla. You just proved a total of one thing. How are you going to say Godzilla scaling sucks when you disprove one statement that a lot of people don't even take as fact, myself included? I never once considered Godzilla Jr. weaker than Showa Godzilla. Never once have I considered the first Heisei Godzilla stronger than the peak Showa Godzilla. There's some statements that get retconned later. That does happen in Godzilla. It's a pretty big series, you know, over 60 years, over half a century. Been around since the 50s. There's going to be a lot of retcons in there. So why try to say you're disproving the scaling when you say like 2 things, one of which made no sense whatsoever, and then you're acting like you're the savior of this community because you're fixing these scaling things that you don't even understand yourself. And even in his first video about this, there's some major issues, like when he starts off saying, oh, Godzilla's past multiplanetary. Space Godzilla was multi-star level. He absorbed millions of supernovas. And Godzilla is confirmed 500 times stronger than Space Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Destroya, and is later compared to the Big Bang. Even legendary Godzilla only took 50% of his power to blast a hole into the hollow Earth. If that was 100%, he would have pierced right through the core, which would have destroyed a planet. That's planetary, and that's one of the weakest Godzillas ever. Hell, I put Showa Godzilla above legendary Godzilla because of 4D scaling and arguably even higher scaling than that. Heisei Godzilla is literal infinities beyond Showa Godzilla at his peak. But there's another video I'm about to get into that is just beyond stupid. The video, if Heisei Godzilla could survive the Monsterverse. Now, anybody who knows anything about Heisei, actual, good Heisei scaling, knows that Heisei Godzilla wouldn't just survive the Monsterverse. He would virtually one-shot anything and everything in it relatively easily. However, not only does he say he'd struggle with Muto Prime, who he could one-shot with a single beam, by the way, scaling well past Galaxy Buster level due to Space Godzilla, and that's without even going burning. He then basically says Kong with the axe could beat him. Yeah, would Kong be able to fight him hand-to-hand way better than Godzilla could fight back? Yeah. Would Kong's axe be able to absorb his beams? Probably not, for the simple reason his atomic breath is leagues and bounds above Monsterverse Godzilla's. It's insane. His atomic breath should scale to Space Godzilla, who can destroy stars. And in Godzilla vs. Destroya, the infinite heat ray is literally infinite. That's what it's said to be, and it increases infinitely with every attack. Plus, even earlier red spiral rays were able to one-shot Galaxy Busters like they were nothing. Kong's axe would explode more likely than not, and even if it didn't, the amount of power from the beam alone should decimate Kong. And this Godzilla is way faster and legendary too. He's constantly dodging attacks that are well beyond anything in the Monsterverse. Kong couldn't do anything against this Godzilla at all. Even if he got a good hit with the axe, this Godzilla regenerates faster and he's cut, as we see when he gets literally cut in half by Destroya 10 times. You know, the same Destroya who split the moon in half in a manga. Casually, he wasn't even trying. This is absurd. And Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah, they're not even planet busters. Mechagodzilla is the only one you can even argue is a planet buster. Even then, Space Godzilla outclasses them all. Not even taking into account that Heisei Godzilla is able to fight Destroya head-on, a being 500 times stronger than Space Godzilla, and that's before absorbing some of Godzilla's own power and getting even more amped. Nothing in the Monsterverse compares to Destroya, and Godzilla outclasses Destroya at his peak. So, could he survive the Monsterverse? Absolutely. He would destroy everything in it within a day. In fact, Heisei Godzilla could really survive any version of the Godzillaverse. And then back to a previous video, which was, it was Godzilla Scaling Sucks, the first one, when he mentions that Final Wars Godzilla was the strongest Godzilla after Heisei. That's been debunked literally infinite times over. I can debunk it. Anybody with a brain cell can debunk that Final Wars Godzilla is nowhere even remotely close to Heisei. He's arguably weaker than Showa. And he's not even as strong as Millennium Godzilla, who's weaker than Heisei also. Godzilla can one-shot black holes. Which, by the way, is also a multi-planetary feat. It's arguably star level, at least. So, once again, proving that Godzillas are definitely planet busters. Some of which go well beyond that, by the way, as I've already mentioned with Heisei. And on top of that, Godzilla Earth is widely considered around Millennium in terms of atomic breath, so that's another one. Hell, even Shin Godzilla was going to be a universal threat once he mutated all the way. Though Godzilla, I'm usually saying, is probably the weakest one, was going to be universal at some point. So, saying Godzillas don't reach universal, multiversal, even omniversal levels is kind of insane when you have Godzillas like Godzilla and Hell, who are actually comparable to the movie versions of Heisei. If you really want to get into the scaling of that, it's a whole conversation. But I personally think Burning Godzilla outclasses Godzilla and Hell, whereas base Heisei gets massively outclassed by Godzilla and Hell. In a theoretical Godzilla and Hell in a burning form, which is likely impossible, but if it was to happen, would be the strongest Godzilla variant out there. Massively outclassing even what a lot of people claim is a composite Godzilla, which It's really stupid, by the way. Nope, don't use Composite Godzilla. Just don't do it. Moral of the story, Godzilla Guy doesn't know how to scale Heisei Godzilla at all. I don't hate the guy, but those videos just, Jesus Christ. I mean, the scaling's probably the worst I've ever seen in my entire life for Heisei Godzilla. And it's insane, honestly, that people legitimately believe that he's correct about it. I'm seeing it even in the comment sections of later videos of Heisei Godzilla, talking about Godzilla Guy claiming that Kong with the axe could beat him, when anybody who knows anything about Heisei knows that's just false. Also, I just checked my stats, and apparently, only 2% of the people watching this are subscribed right now. Yeah, that's okay. Click the subscribe button. I'm joking, obviously. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. It's not like I can force you or anything, but it will help my channel grow and hopefully disprove some more really, really, really bad scaling out there. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel. If not, well, feel free to dislike and comment why you disliked it. Also, I hope there's no hard feelings for Godzilla Guy if he somehow manages to see this from my whole 11 subscriber channel, but I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.